Well, hey there, friends, and welcome back to Equipped for Worship, the podcast designed for small church and bivocational worship leaders who are doing big things in small places. I'm your host, Chuck Harris, and today we're talking about something that every worship leader thinks they understand. Well, until the copyright police come knocking on the door. Figuratively, of course. Yep, today's episode is called, What Can I Legally Sing? It's a beginner's guide to CCLI, copyright, and making sure your church worship isn't accidentally breaking the law while praising Jesus. Because nothing says oops like getting fined for putting lyrics on a PowerPoint. Our theme verse today is Romans 13, verse 7. It says this, Pay your obligations to everyone. Taxes to those you owe taxes, tolls to those you owe tolls, respect to those you owe respect. And yes, that includes copyright holders too. Now, I know this isn't the most exciting topic, but if you've ever asked, can I photocopy this sheet music? Can I show this YouTube video in service? Can we live stream that song? Then this episode is for you. Let's dive in. All right, let's start with the basics. What is CCLI? Well, CCLI stands for Christian Copyright Licensing International. Think of it like a church's music license. It lets you legally reproduce lyrics, chord charts, and more for worship use. Here's what your CCLI license typically covers. Printing lyrics in bulletins or slides, displaying lyrics on screens, making chord charts and lead sheets for your team, recording services with the right add-on license, and streaming services, again, with another add-on license. Think of CCLI like a church's permission slip for music. You don't want to be the kid who shows up on a field trip day without one. There's another copyright service called CCS, Christian Copyright Solutions. CCS provides performance licenses, while CCLI offers reproduction or copying licenses. Now, the U.S. copyright law has a religious service exemption. This is Section 110, subsection 3, that allows churches and other religious organizations to play or perform music without a license. The exemption states this: performance of a non-dramatic literary or musical work of a dramatico-musical work of a religious nature or display of a work in the course of services at a place of worship or other religious assembly shall not constitute infringement of copyright. Now, you'll notice that the exemption doesn't say anything about copying or recording music, only about performing it live during a religious service. That's why churches need a license, like CCLI, to legally reproduce or record songs, even from a live worship service. CCLI alone covers over 300,000 Christian songs, but that only helps if you're using their covered materials correctly. Now let's talk about when music is used outside of a worship service, like at a church picnic, a community event, or even just background music in the lobby. For those situations, your church needs a performance license. Yep, just like restaurants and gyms. There are three big players when it comes to performance rights: ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. They represent most of the songwriters and publishers in the United States. To make it easier for churches, CCS, or Christian Copyright Solutions, has partnered with these groups to create a one-stop shop license for their catalogs. That means instead of dealing with three different companies, you get one CCS license that covers all three. There are two different performance licenses to cover music with CCS. The first one is CCS's Perform Music license. And that allows your church to play and perform more than 20 million songs anywhere in your facilities or satellite campuses. The second license is CCS's Worship Cast license, which allows you to stream your performances of up to 20 million songs on your website. Now, here is what CCLI and CCS doesn't cover: playing copyrighted YouTube videos, performing songs in concerts or ticketed events, using secular songs without permission, and lastly, one that ties into this last one, something that we probably all do and will probably continue to do, unfortunately, is CCLI and CCS licenses do not cover the use of Spotify and Apple Music playing in your churches. That's a completely different license and even a completely different software to use altogether. And maybe something that can be covered in a future episode or by a future podcast. Now, some of you all might be thinking, we're just a small church. Do we really need a license? To keep it short and sweet, yes. Yes, you do. Romans 13 again reminds us to obey the laws, even copyright laws. And Exodus 20:15 says, do not steal. That includes music. It matters. It matters because it respects the people who wrote the songs you love. It protects your church legally, and it sets a good example of integrity for your congregation. Okay, let's break it down in simple terms. Here is Chuck's list of licenses most churches need. A quick note on this is only talking about CCLI and their products covered under their umbrella. I'm not talking about CCS in this specific podcast. All right, number 1, CCLI Church Copyright License. This is your overall umbrella license. This covers lyrics on slides, bulletins, etc. It also covers printing chord charts or sheet music for worship use. Number 2, CCLI Streaming License. This is an add-on. This is for if you live stream your service or post recordings online. Number 3, CCLI Song Select. This is another product offered by CCLI, and it integrates into many of our church worship tools today. This gives you access to official lyrics, chords, and lead sheets. Number 4, CVLI. This is your Christian video licensing. This allows you to show movies or clips in church. An honorable mention here is Loop Community, Multitracks.com, and Praise Charts. Now, these sites offer tracks and charts, but you still need to use their licenses or the CCLI number when appropriate. Okay, let's look at sample costs for these services. Now, these are sample prices. For official prices, I encourage you to log on to CCLI and put your information in. For a church between 50 and 99 people, your CCLI copyright license, just the CCLI copyright license, is going to be roughly $170 a year. For the streaming license, that's another $87 a year. And for Song Select, it's going to be roughly $200 a year. However, there is a free option if you only use songs that are in public domain. Luke 16:10 says this, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Let's be faithful in the small details, like these licenses, and God will honor that. Okay, let's look at some rapid fire questions that I've heard from other worship leaders and worship pastors. Number 1, can I legally photocopy a hymn out of the hymnal for my pianist? Here's the answer. Only if your church owns the hymnal and the copyright has expired or you have the CCLI license for that song. And when I mean copyright has expired, I mean if the song is in public domain. That leads to our next question. What if I only sing public domain songs? Well, that's totally fine, but I want to encourage you to double check what's truly public domain. Amazing Grace, the original arrangement of that hymn, is public domain, but Because He Lives is not. The next question, can I live stream my service with all songs? Well, only if you have the CCLI streaming license and the songs are in their catalog. If not, you need separate permission. Again, that ties in with our CCLI, CCS licenses. And here's the last question. Do we have to report the songs we use? Quick answer, yes. You see, reporting is a vital part of being a license holder. CCLI relies on your reporting to distribute royalty payments fairly and accurately to the songwriters and publishers whose work your licenses permit you to copy or reproduce. Now, if you report manually, meaning you go in and put the songs in yourself, CCLI will notify you when it's your turn to report. And when that time arrives, during your reporting period, CCLI encourages you to report on a regular basis, ideally weekly, or whenever you have reproduced songs in your services, made copies, or emailed or shared MP3s to practice. CCLI also offers auto reporting. If you use tools like Planning Center, Pro Presenter, Media Shout, Easy Worship, you're able to set up and seamlessly integrate CCLI reporting into those tools. This gives your church the freedom to no longer have to manually report. When your church transitions to auto reporting, your church's use of songs will be reported to CCLI on an ongoing basis. Here's a couple of Chuck's tips for staying legal. Use a tool, like we just mentioned, like Planning Center or Pro Presenter, to help manage lyrics and licenses. Make sure to check the license status of videos and songs that you use. And if you don't use a tool that auto-reports, keep a small spreadsheet of all the songs you use and their license info. If the FBI isn't knocking, but your media guy is sweating, that's a sign you need to check your licenses. Worship should be joyful, biblical, and yes, legal. God is glorified when we lead with excellence and integrity. Don't let copyright confusion steal your peace. Get the licenses you need, learn the rules, and then worship freely. Thanks again for joining me today on Equipped for Worship. I hope this episode cleared up some of the copyright fog and helped you feel more confident. Next week, we're talking about tech tools, screens, slides, and software, choosing the right tools. Whether you've got a team of 10 or just you and a laptop, I'll help you pick the tools that make ministry smoother and Sunday simpler. Until then, remember, just because a song is free on YouTube doesn't mean it's free to use in church. Stay faithful, stay informed, and stay in tune with the Spirit. Until next time.